My name is Zach Stevens, and welcome to day 13 of the After Youth Camp devotional. Today we have brought you a topic that I think it is so important to our relationship with God, yet it is so underrated in the Christian community today. And the topic itself is biblical fasting. Not just fasting, but biblical fasting. The very act of going without food for the purpose of growing closer to the heart of God. Fasting is not just going without food or water. That would be dieting, that would be starvation, but the very purpose of fasting is humbling ourselves before our God. We see in Psalm 35, verse 13, where David feels his prayers are going unanswered. So he puts on sackcloth as clothing and he begins to fast. He begins to go through this humbling stage where he humbles himself before God. David knew that humbling ourselves before the Lord is one of the most important ways that we can show that we love Him. Jesus even mentions the importance of prayer and fasting in Matthew chapter 17, verses 21. But in Isaiah 58, verse 6, it says this: "Is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen, to loose the chains of injustice and untie the cord of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke?" We see at the beginning of this chapter where the people are not humbling themselves before God. That when they choose to fast, they do it for each other, for themselves, but not to God Himself. So therefore, God is not answering their prayers. Therefore, their chains are not being broken. And God's desire for them is to have a closer and genuine relationship with Him. His desire is that their chains will be broken, that their burdens will be lifted. The same goes for us in our daily walk. God's desire is for our days to be burden-free, for us to be able to go through our days with joy in humbling ourselves before Him while we live for Him the rest of our days. So often in life we feel that God isn't answering our prayers, that He is silent, but that couldn't be further from the truth. See, God desires to have a close relationship with you, one that is intimate, one that is closer to you than even your own parents, even your own family. We have a God that wants a relationship with us, desires a relationship with us, to show us what a true relationship from a heavenly Father truly looks like. God desires to bring your relationship with Him to a new level. We do this through prayer and fasting. My challenge for you is to begin to fast, to know what it looks like to fast. Also, read the book by Jenison Franklin on fasting. It is a great resource to begin to understand the basics to the complexities of fasting. There's so much more that we won't be able to talk about today when it comes to fasting itself. But my hopes is that this will bring you into a new journey that is so much better, so much closer with God than what you had ever had before. Our challenge for you today is for you to begin to fast. Maybe it's just for a meal at a time, or maybe it's closer to the Daniel fast that you see back in the Old Testament, where you only begin to eat fruits and vegetables for a period of time. In whatever way you start your fast, do know that fasting is a fantastic way to show God how you desire to be with Him. It is a biblical principle that God asks us to use in our daily walk while growing closer with Him. I hope this word inspired you today. I hope it inspires you to grow closer with God on a different level, on a new level, and one that is exhilarating through fasting and prayer.